Welcome to Ladies Who Launch, not your average business podcast. Dropping every other Wednesday, Alyssa and Dakota are two successful and opinionated marketing entrepreneurs engaging in insightful conversations with industry thought leaders, as well as casual conversations surrounding our lives as entrepreneurs.
Welcome back to another episode of Ladies Who Launch on I guess we call it Taylor Swift morning because it's April 19th. The Tortured Poets Department dropped. That's what everyone's talking about online right now. I can't say I've dove in yet, but Taylor Swift requires some moments to get in, like when she releases an album. Her albums are not like easily digestible. You kind of have to, at least in my experience. I'm not a huge Swiftie, but anyway, welcome to Taylor Swift album drop day. Anyway, I'm going to let Dakota kick off this episode because Dakota has some relationship ranting to do. And I don't think we've done a lady rant in like a bazillion years on this episode, but Dakota has some feelings today that she would like to share with the group.
Dakota's feelings. First of all, it's funny. I woke up in the middle of the night last night and couldn't really fall back asleep and toxically picked up my phone rather than like a book or something. And the first thing I saw was like all these drops for Taylor's album.
I think I saw it because I woke up last night too. Maybe it was like, because it was Taylor Swift night. We're all just like not sleep. I don't know. But yeah, I picked up my phone at like 2 a.m. and I saw her Instagram post of like, oh, it's a double album. And I was like, what? And then I know it's on my Apple Music, but I have not gone into it. But
I had two thoughts in my dream state, in my state of dreaming. Yeah. Thought number one was, I can't wait to make these into funny memes for work.
The life of the social media manager.
And thought number two was, capitalism and cult following bar. And then I went back to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do. I mean, I think we could do an entire episode on Taylor Swift. I think it would be interesting because she's like two sides of the same coin. Like, how she has cultivated this like rabid, fat Swiftie fandom, like over whatever 15 years of making music. But the other side of the coin is that yeah, she's a raging capitalist. She's a billionaire, and no one should overlook that because that's gross. But I think I find her interesting from a marketing perspective because that's what I do. Like, she's a marketing genius. I mean, putting aside all other whatever, like, yeah, she has capitalism and marketing like wrapped around her finger and knows exactly how all these pieces fit together. I think she's an interesting case study for the millennial marketing maven kind of thing, because she's totally figured out how all this works. But yeah, I have mixed feelings on Taylor. Like, I mean, I obviously do love some of her music. I'm not obviously a hardcore Swiftie, but she seems like a nice person. Like, I'm happy for her and her football boyfriend. Like, wouldn't we all love a football boyfriend? But like, she's a billionaire, and there is no ethical billionaires. Like, billionaires shouldn't exist. And we shouldn't also be celebrating a billionaire, because Taylor Swift could be. I'm shocked we're talking about Taylor Swift. This was not on the plan today, but anyway. But Taylor Swift could be Dolly Parton. Like, Dolly Parton is just giving it all away. Dolly Parton could have been a billionaire too, just off "I Will Always Love You" alone. But she's not, because she chooses to. She's her free book program. She's got the Dollywood, which is like free admission for people.
I'm saying, like, Taylor Swift is cool and everything, sure, but yeah, I mean, set yourself up. You've earned it. Cool, whatever. Cool. But then take as much as you can of your wealth and fucking do something good with it.
Yeah. And I know, I'm sure Swifties will be like in our feel free, Swifties, to come at us in the DMs. Like, great.
Yeah, feel free. Let's make this shit go viral. Come on, come at us.
Yeah, like, we angry the Swifties.
Let's go.
But yeah, like, I mean, I get it. You'll come at us with like, oh, she gives all her people these big bonuses, and every city that she's in, she donates to whatever. And it's like, that's just what she should do. But it's like, you've amassed a mass amount of wealth that you'll never spend. Your grandkids will never spend that amount of money. It's like, what do you do? Like, I've always wondered, and this isn't exclusive to Taylor Swift, but like, what do people who've amassed that level of wealth, what is the end goal? Is it just to have it sit in offshore bank accounts for like eternity? Because you can't, like, the amount of interest that accrues to live on, like, it would be like 7 generations of not being able to spend that. Like, I've always wondered, I mean, not that I know any billionaires to be able to ask them, but it's like, once you're at a certain level of wealth, like, none of it makes any difference anymore. Yeah. So anyway, Taylor Swift was none of the many, but that's my fault because I brought up the Taylor Swift launch day.
I think we should do a whole episode on her. That sounds really fantastic.
Yeah, I think we should do a deep dive on Taylor Swift, because I think we're interesting because we see her for the amazing businesswoman and marketer that she is, because I think we can appreciate that as entrepreneurs, like, for sure. But it's also the other side of it. Like, do you like just the real estate holdings she has? Like, I mean, is any, I don't know. You just sort of have to start looking at things a little objective or a little more critically and being like, none of this means anything.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Anyway, okay. So I gave you the floor for like an official lady.
Hey, one more sidebar with So it's so funny. I love watching those architectural digest movies or shorts, because I love architecture and I love design. And nothing pisses me off more and just gets under my fucking skin than celebrities and people who have millions and billions of dollars talking about how they just finished renovating their kitchen and they don't use it. I'm never here and I don't cook, but do you love this mohair sofa and this amazing stove from Ilve that I spent $25,000?
And it's like, never been opened.
Hey, if you're not fucking using that shit, donate the equivalent to your local animal rescue shelter or support systems for women, like whatever. Do something with for a social service and make a fucking donation.
Yeah.
I don't know about how you don't use your giant mansion. Gross.
And I mean, and the mansion is only in existence to flaunt your wealth. Like, no celebrity can justify living in these like 20,000, 30,000 square foot mansions when they probably use a quarter or less than a quarter of that space. It's all just for ego and for wealth flaunting. That's all it is. And I mean, can we just talk about that? I mean, why are we sort of like trying to make these celebrities more altruistic than they are? Because they're not.
Why are we glorifying this fucking horse shit? Anyway. Speaking of ego, let's dive in. Okay, so I have discovered recently that I have a gift.
Oh.
I am apparently the ayahuasca of the dating world.
Okay, explain what an ayahuasca is for people if they don't know.
So ayahuasca is a plant medicine that you can take with a facilitator, generally and traditionally in Peru, in Peruvian ceremony, where it causes you to purge all of your negative shit and open yourself up to sort of like a better, more aligned life. And it helps you to kind of work through stuff, same way that like talk therapy might, not the same way like by any stretch, but like the result is probably a little bit similar. It helps you work through your shit. And my girlfriend the other day, after another 3, just not brutal, they're becoming less and less brutal as time goes on. I'm just learning to like be more secure. But after 3 more trials at the dating world over the last 6 months or something, my girlfriend's like, I think you're the ayahuasca of the dating world. It was something like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm their ayahuasca. Because what's been happening to me is I meet guys and they are immediately like enamored. And then I start to look at them. I'm like, oh, like you're pretty cool. And I start to fall for them. And then I open myself up to it. I fall for them. I'm like, yeah, I really fucking like you. And then as soon as I'm like, yeah, I'm in, let's go. They're like, oh my God. I've heard things like, I'm not good enough for you. I don't think I can rise to your level. I think you have the experience in life that I would like to experience along someone else who hasn't had that experience yet, because I'm worried that I'm going to disappoint you. I've had comments like, you've cracked me open and opened me up in a way I've never seen before. And now I need to take that away and go figure my shit out.
Ew.
But then always, please be our friend. We want you to be our friend. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, I really love you for this. And I love you for this. And you're really cool because of this. So like, could I be your friend? Like maybe. And like, do I have to throw you away just because we didn't fit romantically? No, because I've got great standing relationships with all the people that I'm talking about right now. And in fact, one of them has become a good friend of mine, and I really love and appreciate him for many reasons. But it's funny how there comes the point in the relationship, it's usually between month 1 and 3, where they dip and they decide like everything that they said they wanted to, strong, independent, driven, owns her own business, or like has like a really good job, has her shit together, is drama free. It's like, here it is, buddy. And then they're like, no, sorry. I need something less, or I have to go find myself. And it's like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? What do I have to do to like not be the girl that cracks you open?
Okay, well, like,
and where's my guy that's going to crack me open and take care of me?
I have so many questions.
Okay.
First question, where are you finding these people?
Okay, so
this to me, like, I mean, granted, I know
don't put this on me, first of all. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm like, because like all of these people, and I'll caveat this by saying that like I don't know who these people are. I don't know their names. I've never met them. It's not like, so Dakota's talking about this completely separate from me. Like I'm not privy to who these people are. So I'm looking at this completely objectively without having met them. But honestly, they all sound like they are, they all sound like some sort of weird lab rabbit that's like read too many self-help books and are just sort of spewing self-help, or they've listened to too many like Brené Brown podcasts or like whatever douchey male equivalent, like Joe Rogan podcast or something. I don't know. And are just sort of spewing nonsense. They don't really know what it means, but the fact is it's not about you as Dakota. It's about the entire like sex of women that they don't like. Because here's the other thing, and I read something about this a few weeks ago, read an article about this, that generally men don't actually like women. They may want to have sex with you and they may want to like whatever, but they generally don't like women. They don't like who we are. They don't like how we, they like women who are subservient to them, but they generally don't like women. And so that's kind of where that's kind of where I see that coming from. Like, talking about having to find themselves and you're too this and you're too that. They're putting their own insecurities and their own dislike of themselves and what they don't like about themselves onto you. So they don't like the fact that they don't own their own business and they don't feel strong and they don't feel powerful and they don't feel any of those things. So then they're making it you. It's like, oh, you're too much and you're too this. And it's like, it has nothing to do with you, Dakota. That is all them. But it's easier to point the finger at you and try to make you smaller for them instead of accepting their own insecurities and dealing with that. And generally, and I think it all just comes down to that subconsciously, many men just don't like women. They don't like who we are as people. They don't like us actually. They don't like us and who we are outside of a bedroom setting. I will flat out say it. And I'm not saying that my friends aren't married to great men and don't have great men. Totally, like I mean, obviously this doesn't apply to all men. So don't come at me with, well, not all men. My husband's great. Yeah, great. Dorothy. I'm sure your husband's awesome. We're not talking about you then, okay? But generally, it has been proven, like that unless you are servicing your man in some capacity, whether that's through sex, whether that's through cooking, whether that's through cleaning, whether that's having their babies, whatever, that they don't really have much interest in you. And that's where that's coming from, because that's none of what you said, like you're too powerful, you're too big. None of that has anything to do with you, Dakota. That is all them. And unfortunately, because we live in this world of like wellness and self-help and, oh, I read a book, that they're immediately able to turn that, because it's like, well, I read this in a thing. It's like, yeah, of course you did. So now it's my problem. So instead of reading something and digesting it and understanding your role in something, it's easier to turn around and make it your problem. And that's what
that's a very interesting concept. And I do feel called to mention that all three of these people have taken whatever they've learned from me and gone and done something, and they're doing something about it. Or I don't really know, but I think two of them are doing something about it. The other one I know for sure has done something about it. And we've come to the conclusion that we are just better off as friends. And I do want to be his friend for sure. So that was, and I did play a bit of a role in that last one where like I definitely dipped into some of my more toxic behaviors and wasn't being consistent and didn't have great boundaries. So like that's on me. But these last two, like I feel like I've been pretty good. And I will say that they are like genuinely, they were very clear with me like about where they stood. And then they were like, I want to go work on this. And I now know I need to because of you. I guess what I'm sick of is like meeting people, being people's mirror. It's like, at what point do I get to just be with someone? Why do I have to constantly be people's mirrors? That's what
I mean, I think it all comes down to who we are attracting or who we are bringing into our world. And I think this is why dating and relationships become so much more difficult and sort of tangled as you get older, because what we expect in ourselves, we expect in other people. And I think that's my biggest struggle in dating is like, I have high expectations of myself, and like I expect that of you. And if you can't meet that, I mean, I don't need that in my world. And I think especially the more successful we become and the more self-confident we become as we get older, we are sort of projecting those things out we are projecting those things out into the world. And so we'll use men in this instance because that's what this is about. Men see that and are immediately attracted to that because they're like, man, that's hot. It's badass. And like, look at her being like all whatever. And then so then they throw that on you and like make you feel so important. It's like kind of love bombing-esque, but it's more like, it's more like complimentary bombing. It's like suddenly you're like, they're talking about how like, so like amazed that you run your business and they're so all this kind of stuff. And then they very quickly realize that isn't actually what they want. They like the idea of that, but then the more they come into it, that you intimidate them. And I think this is what we all struggle with as very successful and self-confident and women, is that instead of thinking of how I have to accommodate them, they need to accommodate us. And instead of us feeling that we need to step down to their level, they need to step up. And I think that's where the disconnect is. And that's what, I mean, on one level, like at least these dudes are self-aware enough to realize that they can't step up. They have no concept of how to actually step up to meet you where you are and expect you to step down. And I think we as women deal with this all the time, not even just in relationships, but how many of us through our working careers have stepped down in a workplace to appease a male boss or a male colleague, or to step aside and like let them shine because we don't feel, or it's not our time, or it's not our place. Like, we have all done it. And now that we are business owners and that we're working and existing at a level, we are still in that mindset of feeling that we need to step down to make these men feel more confident in themselves. And it's like, no, dudes, you need to step up. And sadly, I don't know many men that can.
Well, this is the question, right? Like, I have one dude in particular that I'm wondering. I'm curious to see. So I kind of set him free. I've fucked up a few times by like slipping back into his DMs because I miss talking to him. We had a really great connection. And in fact, the other day he called me out. He's like, "You have really bad boundaries." And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. I really need to fucking work on that, like, once and for all. And I didn't even know what to say. I was like, you know what? You're right. And I'm sorry. I've asked you for space. I've told you to go take your space, and I'm being bad. So I'll stop. But yeah, I'm curious to see if, and that'll be the one for me, honestly. Like, any guy who I like, who I have a great connection with, who can go away and do the work to rise to whatever level they think that I'm on, and whatever level I'm on, like, and then they come back and they do it in a way that's like very positive, I guess, and like true, then yeah, boom. But yeah, Alyssa's right. Like, does that happen? It sometimes does, for sure. But it's rare that a guy will go and work on himself. And I've had another guy say to me, who was working on some things, and he was dealing with some depression stuff. One time he said, "I want to go and figure my shit out so I can be the type of partner that's good enough for you." And it was like one of the nicest compliments I've ever received. But did he come back? No. And I think women are just out here, like, to all the men who are listening to this and dating and confused about like the matrix of fucking dating. Like, all women want is to be chosen. It's so easy. We just want to be chosen. And like, we just want to be chosen by somebody who can meet us where we're at. And then let's figure the rest out from there. Like, it doesn't have to be this big friggin' production. Like, we just want you to make a grand gesture at any given time. That grand gesture could be something as simple as, "Will you be my girlfriend? Let's commit to this. Let's do this." And then follow fucking through.
Well, interesting. Let's bring this back full circle to Taylor Swift, because she's the queen of terrible boyfriends, like, forever. And along comes a football player who is massively successful in his own way, and has his own success, his own existence. He calls her out on his own podcast and basically does exactly what you said. Is like, "I wanted to give her the friendship bracelet with my number on it, but she didn't want to see me after her concert," or blah, blah, blah. Like, he made he publicly went after her. And she said in an interview later, she's like, "No one has ever done that for me. No one ever has." And now he understands the situation that he is in. And again, secure, confident, successful guy on his own. He's like, "I'm fucking dating Taylor Swift." It's like, of course I'm going to like let her shine, and I'm going to like be her biggest fan and her biggest, because I get it. I see where like I've hit the friggin' home run here. And none of her other boyfriends, and I couldn't name them to save my life, which probably says a lot of whatever, we're never proud to never proud of her and never showcased her and sort of like understood was like, I'm dating Taylor Swift. And so it's like, she's finally found that person that doesn't need her for money, doesn't need her for his own ego. Like she can just be herself. And he is so friggin' proud of her, like publicly gushes about her. And it's like, we all aren't Taylor Swift, but can we all find a Travis Kelce that like is like, God damn, I am dating Dakota Kidby, and this is a friggin' win for me. Like I am gonna rise and to her level because holy shit, I am so like honored that I get to date Dakota Kidby. And it's like, yeah, where is the Travis Kelce in this situation for like regular people? Because it's like, finding a guy who is successful and self-assured in his own right. And we can be partners because he doesn't need anything from me financially. He doesn't need me for a house. He doesn't need me for all of that. He's got his own money and his own life and his own friends. But he is so proud of me and so proud of what I do and wants to show me off and talk about me because I'm awesome. And it's like, yeah. And then in Taylor's world, she now does the same for him. When would Taylor ever show up to a football game? She's there because she also wants to now support because now it's an equal footing.
Yeah. And that's how it should be, for sure.
Right? So it's like kind of like,
yeah, I guess my big question is like, how are men being raised and
yes.
where are these humans that why does it feel like 90% of men can't meet strong women where they're at? What the fuck happened in the last 20 years that men, and I believe it's like 2 or 3 generations. Like I think some of the newer generations are not like that at all. My cousin Katie, I have to call this relationship out. Oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said her name. Whatever. Anyway, my little cousin Katie, she's a second year in university. And she is in one of the healthiest, most nourishing relationships I have ever seen someone of that age be in. Her boyfriend is secure. He's driven. He has his own life. He has his own friend group. They met at university. So cute. He's stepped up from day one. They just recently celebrated a year and a half, something like that. And the dude, like, grand gestures from day one, literally put on her favorite country song, check yes or no, gave her a piece of paper with the pen that said check yes or no on the tailgate of his truck. Adorable. And they've been together ever since. And like, there was never a question. There was no confusion. Here's my 21-year-old cousin in a secure, amazing relationship. And I'm 35 and can't fucking find it to save my life.
Yeah. And I mean, I know it's hard not to be jealous of those kind of things because it's like
I'm jealous. It's more.
It's not. I mean, jealous, not. But yeah, you can't help it. I mean, envy is maybe a better word, but it's like because it's like when you have never been able to have that or be able to find that because, like, quite frankly, Dakota, you didn't even have that in your marriage. So it's like when you've never been able to have it, because I'm in the same boat. It's like no one has ever in my entire life, like done the big gesture or like, I mean, I can't imagine that happening at 21. Good for them. But I think there is, I mean, the Kelce thing is interesting because I know there's been a lot of articles and things said about how the Kelces were like, people were like, can Mrs. Kelce write a book, Mr. and Mrs. Kelce write a book on how they raised their 2 sons to not have toxic masculinity. They cry. They publicly cry. They they're each other's biggest fans as brothers. And they're so like open with their emotions and like for 2 big football players. And it's like, they're like sobbing. Like if anybody saw Jason Kelce's retirement speech and he's just like a blubbering, teddy bear as he's talking about his wife and how he, like, when she first walked in, he still remembers when she first walked in the room, when he met her. And like, I mean, because there is something to be said for that and how parents are raising boys in particular, and parents who parent their boys and girls differently. And that is still a thing. I mean, it is. that boys still get away with way more than girls do, and like in a family situation. But yeah, there is something to be said about how this sort of 35 to or 30 to 45-year-old generation was sort of still raised in that toxic masculinity environment. Like, even if your dad wasn't, like, my dad is not remotely a toxic person on any level. He's like the most mild-mannered, whatever. But my brother was raised differently than me. He for sure was. He was a football star, and he was allowed to get away with things that I never would have been allowed to get away with. It was always harder on me than they were on him. And that, like, I'm sure my mother would admit that now. Like, I mean, they did what they knew how to do, but it is obvious. And I mean, my brother kind of is toxic masculinity. I mean, he is fully leaned into that, especially now as he's gotten older. And yeah, they're easily sort of led into that. Like, if they're easily led into that, or they've sort of grown up in a way where there's lack of accountability and lack of rules and lack of discipline for those kind of things, because boys will be boys, and we played sports and yada, yada, yada. They grow up to lean into that as adults. And I think that's what we're seeing now as we're dating these men who have sort of grown up as sports people, or like we're given extra time to finish assignments because they might have had a hockey tournament on the weekend. All that nonsense that, like, I saw growing up, how especially hockey players in our small town were like totally treated differently in school than us regular kids. So yeah, I think we are seeing the result of that now as adults. But the fact is that doesn't have to be, because you can see in like the Kelces that's clearly not how they were raised. And so it's possible. So, I mean, a lot of this, I mean, I think we should have parents on. We should bring our parents on and talk about this. And it's like, did you see? I mean, you're different because you're an only child, but I would totally flat out ask my mom, because like my dad was not at all, and still isn't to this day, as like he's not a dude bro on any level. Like, my dad's like an academic, but still there was still, he leaned into that world because my brother was successful in it. So that my dad kind of got to live his life through my brother too, because my dad was also athletic and played football and baseball and all that. So to see his success, and it's sort of the same now with my nephew, who played high level hockey. And so that sort of cycle of leaning into that toxic environment. And so as an aunt, I was always very, very influential when he was little, as trying to let him see the other side, that like, this isn't normal. Like, you were an extremely privileged kid to get to do this. Like, there's probably goalies that are way better than you that will never get to play because their parents can't afford it. So I always tried to lean into that a little bit. And I mean, he I think as he grew up probably didn't listen to me as much as he probably should have, but I did what I could. Because yeah, I'm like, I don't want this next generation to grow up feeling that they are entitled and feeling that they are
that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I guess there are lots of great resources out there for sure. And like, let's call it, there's all the toxic wellness crap too. But like, part of me is so pulled to start something that, or like work with existing circles that I do know exist. Like, so on the flip side, I've got, probably like 4 or 5 guy friends who actively work on themselves on the daily, and they go to things like men's circles.
Yeah.
It's supported, and they lean on their female counterparts, and they do love women. And I know that for a fact. But then they have their own issues too, right? And I think for my side of things, I need to continue to lean into that secure attachment style of like, not everyone's going to be for me. Like, out of 100 men, like 2 people are probably going to be for me, maybe just 1, and like, you got to go through a lot if you want to try and find that. It's like literally being at Winners.
Exhausting. I mean, that's exhausting. I mean, it just is.
It is exhausting. And that's why I think dating is exhausting. And you do have to kind of rewire your mindset to try and enjoy it. And like, you do have to be open to, if this doesn't work, maybe you find a new friend. And one thing I really wanted at the beginning of this year was safe, loving relationships with men. And so maybe that means friendship right now. Maybe that doesn't mean romantic. And the more people I date, yes, I get closer to knowing who I want to be with. So yeah, sorry, Bailey's.
Bailey's getting, it's all good. Yeah, we can wrap this up. I think I would just like to end on the, if there are men listening, or if you have men or boys in your life, I think men having good cries will alleviate a lot of this. If men just learned how to have a good cry, be in their feelings, learn how to express their emotions, I think we'd all be in a better place. And I think that's a good place to end today. Dakota is dealing with Bailey's grooming. If you could see, it's actually funny, but we will end it here as we sort ourselves out. But thanks for listening. Again, Swifties, feel free to come at us in the DMs. That's great. But if you want to talk more about this, or if you have resources that we should look at, or things that you feel would help us as we sort of navigate our dating lives, send us a note at Ladies Who Launch Pod on Instagram, or email us at ladieswholaunchpod@gmail.com. And we will catch you in the next episode of Ladies Who Launch.
Thank you for listening to Ladies Who Launch. Join Dakota and Alyssa every second Wednesday for more conversations and interesting guests. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. If you send us a question, we may answer it on a future episode.